Hello and welcome to my channel. Today I am going to show you how to make a glasses case. You will need 3 pieces of material. So you'll need the main material will be 7 by 7.5 inches. Your lining will be 7 by 9 3/4 and your batting will be 7 by 7. On the batting, you want to measure in 1 inch and draw a line. We're going to use that as our sewing guide later on. So I'm just showing you that now. Just use your ruler and a pen. You're not going to see it. It's not going to show through at all. So then just draw your line, and then what we're going to do is we're going to start layering our fabrics together. Now remember that your lining piece is the one that's 7 inches by 9 3/4. So we're going to take that one, and your main fabric is 7 by 7.5 inches. So we're going to take it and we're going to put the right sides facing up for your lining, and your main fabric is going to be right sides facing down, and you're going to lay them together. Then you're going to layer your batting with the drawn line face up at the top of one of the edges. You're going to line up all 3 of those raw edges and you're going to clip them in place. Now you can use pins as well, that's up to you. And then we're going to take it to our sewing machine and just sew down that line, and you're going to backstitch at the beginning and the end. Once you have those all sewn together, what you're going to do is just lay it down on the table, and you want to make sure that when you fold over the 7 by 9 3/4, so the lining piece, that it's going to match up with the raw edge of the main piece. And so that's why we made the main piece just a little bit bigger. So as you can see, everything is lining up nice. And so then now we can move on to the next step. Now we need to open this up, and we're going to actually fold it in half lengthwise, so the long ways. And you're going to match up those seams, and we're going to put pins in there, and you want to make sure everything is laid down nice and neat. Now again, you can use pins if you want. I like using the clips for stuff like this. We want the edges to line up nice, and so then once everything is clipped, then we can start sewing this together. Now you want to leave an opening, probably about 2.5 to 3 inches in length, so that we can turn the eyeglass case right sides out. So I'm going to put clips on the other side just to hold everything in place, because we're going to start sewing along the top edge and then move our way around. So I'm going to start here, move down, I'm going to do a back stitch, leave a space, and then do a back stitch and sew all the way around. And then that will be our opening so that we can change it. Now, if you want to put a tag in, you don't need to by any means, but if you do, this is where you'd want to do it. So I'm just putting my little tag in here. I'm just opening up where I had the clip, and I'm going to place my tag in there so that when I sew this, I will sew over there and sew the tag in place. Again, if you're not putting a tag in, then you do not need to worry about this step. I'm going to take this over to my sewing machine, and I'm going to use the width of my presser foot as far as my width of my stitch from the edge. So basically I'm just keeping my needle in the center, lining up the edge of my presser foot along the right hand side of the material, and just sewing down. When I get to the corner, I'll put my needle down, lift my presser foot and turn, and then I will just continue on and sewing all the way around. Now remember to leave that opening, so you want to do a little back stitch there, leave that 2.5, 3 inch space, do a little back stitch, and then just continue sewing all the way down, get to the corner and pivot and to the edge. Now you can take a pair of scissors and just clip off some of that excess material where the corners will be. This just helps to reduce the bulk in those when we turn it around. So now it's time to start pulling that fabric from the inside out. So we want to reach in with your thumb and kind of poke those corners up inside, and then poke all that material out through the opening that we left. This will allow us to turn the item right sides out, and then we can continue on with the process. You can use a chopstick to help push those corners out, and then you want to make sure that the seams are laying down nicely where we had that opening. Put some clips in there, and then we can take it to the sewing machine and stitch that closed. Now I'm sewing about 1/8 of an inch from the edge. This will ensure that the opening is closed and won't cause any issues going further. So once you have this all sewn, make sure you clip up all your threads. Now that this part is all done, we can take our lining and push it to the inside of the glasses case. I just was using my thumbs. Again, you can go in with that chopstick or even a pencil. Just be very careful, but just use something to help you poke that lining inside, get it down into the bottom, right into those corners, and ensure that your edge is nice and neat. Where we had that little extra 1-inch piece that we sewed earlier, that's what's making the little edge piece up on the top there. So again, just make sure everything is laid out nice. You can take it over to the iron if you want and give it a press, but everything is done now and your eyeglass case is ready to go. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a thumbs up, consider subscribing to my channel, and click on the bell to receive notification. I'll put a few more videos here for you to watch until the next time I upload a video. Thank you again for joining me, and happy crafting.